the season against the Minnesota Vikings. Pat Summerall here with John Merritt, Madden, for the 19th year we've been together. And John, no matter how many years we do it, there's something about opening day.
The excitement just doesn't go away. You can feel the excitement here, the crowd. You got the bunting, you got the excitement of the players, and you think some year this excitement isn't going to be as big as it is, and doggone, every year it's the same.
Every year it is. And we go back to that last game of the year that we saw Atlanta upset Minnesota up in the dome in Minnesota. I don't think Minnesota has gotten over that yet.
No, and they didn't really have a good preseason. They were 2-2 in preseason, and as Denny Green says, the whole thing had kind of been rocky. Randall Cunningham told us yesterday that he really felt that this week the offense finally started to click. He said on Monday they felt better, and he said then things just started to fall in place this week. And you know that if the Minnesota offense falls into place, they're going to be tough. If they're going to have a problem this year, it's going to be their defense.
Now, what about Atlanta? They still feel that although they won that game up in the dome, they're sort of underappreciated.
Well, they never really did get a lot of respect. They were 14-2 last year. Dan Reeves is a fine coach, and they do all the little things, like they led the league in time of possession. They led the league in turnovers. Talking to Chris Chandler, he says, I don't know what life without Tony Martin is going to be. They have a very scrappy defense, and they're going to need it all today against these Vikings.
All right, coming up, it's the Vikings and the Falcons from the Georgia Dome. And John and I'll be back with the opening kickoff when Fox NFL Sunday continues. Let's go down to our sideline reporter, DJ Johnson.
Opening day 1999 here in Atlanta, Georgia, and to throw out the first ball, former Falcon quarterback Bobby Hebert.
Bobby Hebert, what a colorful and nice guy he is.
Well, and he helped get the whole thing. I think on opening day, those things go together. Bunting, we have bunting here, and someone throwing out the first ball. Now we're getting there. Now we're starting to talk.
We got bunting right behind us.
The bunting we have right behind us, we've been carrying around for about 10 years. At one time, we were the only ones that had bunting on opening day.
Mitch Berger to kick it off, and Tim Dwight and Elijah Williams back deep. Dwight way back at deep in the end zone, and he's going to bring it out. Courage and speed he has to the 19. Let's look at the Atlanta Falcon offense, led by their quarterback Chris Chandler. A 20-8 record as a starter. The offensive line back intact from last year. Whitfield, Hallam, he's a new addition. Tobeck, Williams, and Salam. Jamal Anderson, and he welcomes back Bob Christian to block for him. Callaway, Mathis, and O.J. Santiago, the tight end. Against the Minnesota defense, as John Madden was pointing out in our opening comments, that's their question mark. Anderson, line of scrimmage, maybe a yard as he struggles in the arms of Kylie Wong, a new linebacker on this Minnesota defense. Clemens, Randall, Tony Williams, and John Burrow start up front. Dwayne Rudd, Ed McDaniel, and Kylie Wong, who just made that tackle. The secondary, Hitchcock and Ramos McDonald, the corners. Orlando Thomas and Robert Griffith, who had such an outstanding game in that NFC Championship game up in Minnesota.
The guy they're worrying about in that secondary is Ramos McDonald and how he's going to play today.
Two tight ends set up for Minnesota, for Atlanta. Chandler gets away from one and throws it out of bounds.
You know, we were talking to the Vikings last night. That was what they wanted to do, is they wanted to get Chandler out of rhythm, to make him move, make him break the pocket. And it was interesting, the first guy that does it was his old teammate, John Burrow. Minnesota Vikings got John Burrow from the Atlanta Falcons in the offseason, and he's their starting left end.
They'll operate a lot as they did with that offensive set with two tight ends. Three wide receivers this time. Chandler drops. He's going to come out with it short of the first down, taken down at about the 27 by Robert Griffith.
And Chandler didn't have anyone to go to that time. You see what he did, and he said that he wanted to do that today, is use that hard count and a long hard count. That was what they call a hard 3. In other words, instead of going on 1 or 2, they went on 3, and the Minnesota Vikings didn't even flinch.
Interesting that they told us earlier in the week that they didn't use any cadence last year when they beat the Vikings up in the Dome. It was all silent counts.
Art Shell, their offensive line coach, thought that was the key to their win.
Palmer hit as soon as he makes the catch and belted hard by John Dale Carty. The Minnesota offense led by Randall Cunningham. What a year he had. Todd Stussy, Randall McDaniel, Jeff Christie, Dixon and Stringer, a veteran offensive line and one of the best. Robert Smith, the runner, Randy Moss, Chris Carter, and Jake Reed, the receivers, and Andrew Glover. Carty down in a hurry on Palmer.
Yeah, it looked like Palmer didn't have anyone there telling him, you know, fair catch it, or he didn't see Carty coming, because that should have been fair caught.
Smith's the deep back. Cunningham to Smith. Taken down by Keith Brooking. Here's the Atlanta defense. Chuck Smith, Dronette, Travis Hall, and Lester Archambault up front. That's a good group. Brooking, Tuggle in the middle, and Henri Crockett. And here's where they might struggle a bit in the secondary. Bradford, Buchanan, Carter, and Robinson. 2nd and 7, 2 tight ends. Cunningham outside. Chris Carter.
Yeah, that's a tough thing when you play against Minnesota. You know that on one side they have Randy Moss. Now, if you roll towards him or double him as they did then what are you doing? You're leaving Chris Carter out here on this side with a single. So Randall Cunningham goes back and he looks and he sees him rolling towards Randy Moss, and boom, he comes right back to Chris Carter, and that in itself is a pretty good weapon.
3rd and 1, and David Palmer's in the backfield for Minnesota. Cunningham's going to throw. Carter. First down and more to the 40. Chris Carter.
Well, you know one thing, when Palmer was in the backfield, there was going to be a pass, and the other thing is, anytime that you're on a 3rd down, the guy you're going to be looking for right there is Chris Carter. Of course, I don't think that he was looking for Chris Carter on that one. I think that was to Jake Reed.
Yep.
Yeah, that was Jake Reed, the 3rd wide receiver, but that's not a bad combination, Jake Reed and Chris Carter.
Welcome to the Georgia Dome from those of you who saw Arizona beat Philadelphia on a last-second field goal, 25-24.
What a
no
comeback.
Score at the Dome as Robert Smith nudges to his left.
You know, one of the things we were talking about is Randy Moss is probably the most dangerous wide receiver in football today. I mean, probably the best wide receiver in football today. So you have to do something to him all the time, and then you leave Chris Carter and Jake Reed alone, and then you can't get that 8th guy up there to stop the run or to help against the run either, because if you do, then you're going to leave Randy Moss or Chris Carter single.
Palmer comes in motion. That leaves Horde back, and he gets the carry. Leroy Horde picked up about 3.
You know, there's a guy that's a real good player that made that tackle, Lester Archambault. You know, he's one of those guys that is in there all the time, a solid player, a good pass rusher, very good against the run. You know, just make things happen. The thing that always impressed me about him is a smart guy, too. I mean, he was like a straight-A student in high school.
Yep.
Went to Stanford. And, you know, some big old linemen are big old smart linemen, and he's one of them.
3rd and 4. 5 make it. Atlanta coming on a blitz. Cunningham got rid of it. Incomplete. Brooking almost got there.
That was Brooking there, and that was one of the things that the Falcons talked about. They said that we want to knock Cunningham down, and you see Brooking coming right here. I think they were trying to get their center, Jeff Christie, out, and Brooking is a heck of an athlete.
Yes,
and his quickness just beat Christie to that hole and eventually to Randall Cunningham.
Mitch Berger into punt for Minnesota. Tim Dwight back deep for the Falcons. High kick. They hope it goes in the end zone, but it won't. Minnesota downs it at about the 3.5-yard line.
Well, you know, both teams are doing on defense, Pat, what they said they were going to do. They were going to go after the quarterback. They were going to knock him down. They were going to do those kinds of things, because I don't think either defense really feels that they can cover the other guy's receivers.
Robert Tate is the Viking who downed the punt.
Look at Randy Moss here. He's getting right next to Randall Cunningham.
Yeah.
He hasn't gotten the ball yet.
Don't forget me.
Yeah, he's saying, you know, there's some things out there that I can do.
1st and 10, Atlanta at their own 4.
I've never known a wide receiver in my life that wasn't open on every play.
A good one. Anderson. Jamal gets out to about the 6. Stopped by Ed McDaniel. 2nd and 8.
They get over there in the sideline. That's Bill Kohler, the defensive line coach, and they talk about what just happened on that last series and then what they're going to do on the next series when they go in there. I know one thing he's telling them: keep the pressure on Randall Cunningham.
Byron Hansbard is deep for the Falcons. He's the tailback, and he got some speed. Right now, for an update, let's return to James Brown in Los Angeles.
John and Pat, the Cowboys had trailed the Skins 35-14. Michael Irvin on the receiving end of that Aikman bullet there. Irvin 2 touchdowns today. He had only 1 last season, all tied with 1:37 left in the game. John and Pat.
Back at the Georgia Dome, 8:50 left in the first quarter.
How many touchdowns was that for Troy Aikman? Was that his 4th touchdown?
4 that I know about,
Irvin?
yeah.
Ooh. That looks like a heck of a game, doesn't it? Back and forth.
Chandler doesn't like what he sees, calls timeout.
That's what they call seesaw battle. And then how about Arizona? I mean, it looked like they were down and out of it, and they came from behind.
Last play of the game.
You know, that's what opening day provides for you. And I'll guarantee you on opening day, in every locker room, someone was saying you can't win them all unless you win the first one.
And right now, for another update, let's return to James Brown in Los Angeles.
2 come from behind victories. Jets were up 16-10 against the Patriots, but Adam Vinatieri's 23-yard field goal seals the victory for the Patriots over New England 30-28. You know the Jets lost. Vinny Testaverde to a ruptured Achilles tendon. Then Arizona had been down 21-0, comes back and wins it on that 31-yarder by Chris Jackie. 2 come from behind victories. Let's take it back to John and Pat.
No score at the Georgia Dome.
So the people that have been waiting the whole off season for the season to start, it seems pretty good stuff today, aren't they?
It does. 3rd and short for Atlanta. Long count, hard count. Chandler outside to the tight end, Brian Kozlowski, who just barely got the first down. Jimmy Hitchcock with him.
Now that was a bootleg. That is a short yardage play, you know, where they think you're going to run, they get up there in the short yardage defense, and you bang your back in there, fake to him, and then come out here in a bootleg and throw it to your tight end. So it's kind of off a play fake. See a good fake of the run here, then Chandler goes the other way and hits his tight end. Now the tight end Kozlowski on that should have gotten a little deeper.
He got the first down. That's about all. Anderson about the 19.
One of the interesting things in talking to Jamal Anderson, he said he never saw Robert Griffith last game, you know, in the championship game. He said he made all the tackles.
Yep.
They're finding him now. They had Bob Christian block him, and that was what Jamal Anderson said. He said, but remember, he said, I didn't have Bobby Christian last time. And on that last play there, Bobby Christian was the guy that blocked Robert Griffith.
Anderson's deep, Christian in front of him. Got him with a hard count, but Anderson and the Falcons will keep running.
When we were at practice the other day, that's what the Falcons were working on. This is going to be against Minnesota. And when I saw them doing this, I predicted that they'll get the Minnesota Vikings to jump off sides 5 times.
Well, that's one.
Because, you know, as Chris Chandler says, in the championship game, they didn't do that. And he said they're an undersized group of guys, so they have to hit the hole. And they have to jump. They have to jump everything. So if he can just have his guys be patient. You see that little shoulder thing and that hard count? And he got him to jump.
He starts the motion man again. Fakes to Anderson. And Chandler likes to throw it deep. Intended for Terrence Mathis. Griffith knocked it away.
That was a heck of a play by Robert Griffith because Mathis was running down the middle of the field. He looked like he was free. Watch, Mathis comes here. Now, right now, he looks like he has him if he leaves him out there. And watch Griffith, number 24. He undercuts that thing. He comes between the throw and the receiver. Now, if the ball were out there, there's no one else out there. If he throws that ball a little deeper or where Griffith can't hit it, that could have been a touchdown.
If you were Chris Chandler, you thought you had 6. Second and long. Anderson, the ball carrier. And Minnesota reads it well. John Randall first to wrap him up.
And you see who was the second. There's Robert Griffith right there. I've always said, and I said this a year ago too, I think that guy right there, number 24 for Minnesota, Robert Griffith, is one of the underrated players in the league. I mean, we just saw him defend a pass deep and then be in on a tackle right at the line of scrimmage. That's what you call covering the whole field.
That last sequence is pretty good testimony to your point. Third and long.
And here on nickel, he plays right here as a corner.
Here comes the Minnesota blitz. Falcons picked it up for a moment, but from behind. Wayne Rudd hit him from behind. Ed McDaniel came down with the ball, and the Vikings get the first turnover.
We're going to see Rudd is right here. You see, and he timed that perfectly. Of course, Jamal Anderson missed the block, too. That's one of those things when you're Jamal Anderson and you miss a block like that, then you got to yell, look out, because Chandler doesn't feel, see, or hear Rudd coming. See, he just goes right over Jamal Anderson. And
never saw him.
Remember, since Lawrence Taylor, all linebackers do what Dwayne Rudd just did on that last play. Go for the strip as they're tackling.
Robert Smith stopped at the line of scrimmage.
And Jamal Anderson knows it too. You know, it's not only about, you know, running the ball and making yards, but it's also about when you're back there, the most important part of a running back's job in the passing game is pass protection.
Second down. They need 11. Smith lost one.
He hasn't thrown one to Randy Moss yet. It's getting close to that time. Ray Buchanan is on Moss now.
Moss makes his move. Now he has. Is it a catch? Yes, it was.
See, that's a new pattern for Randy Moss. It's kind of a short corner. You're going to see him come up. You see Buchanan, then he's going to come in a little, then he's going to go back out towards the corner and then flatten it out. And that's, oh, it looked like that second foot was out, didn't it?
Yeah, that was close.
Well, I don't know if we're going to have a challenge on that. You know, we do have replay and we do have a challenge possibility, but they have to challenge before the snap of the next play.
3rd and 2.
Too late.
No challenge. Smith. Robert Smith. Inside the 10 to the 8. Marty Carter finally tripped him up.
Yeah, that's the thing that Rich Brooks was talking about, the defensive coordinator of the Falcons. is that with these receivers, we have to stop the run with the front 7 guys because we can't do it. Now you say, what does Randy Moss do other than catch passes? Well, he flops into the ground. Some guys fall over him.
Like Eugene Robinson.
Yeah, that's not his strength. I mean, you know, someday he may be a better blocker. Right now, that wasn't very good.
Leroy Horde, who was lined up at fullback that time in front of Smith.
You know, one thing, when you play the Vikings and they get in the red zone or they get inside the 20, you're going to get a heavy dose of Leroy Horde. Yeah. And sometimes it's with Robert Smith and sometimes it's in lieu of Robert Smith.
And they're going to give you a lot of things to look at with all that talent they have on offense.
And the other thing you're going to see, who is very big in this situation, one of the best of all time, is Chris Carter when you get down here close to the goal line.
Better believe it. Horde's still the fullback. Horde gets the carry again. Archambault wrapped him up.
I think that they used to bring Horde in last year and it would kind of be a change of pace. And then now everyone looks at, he was so successful that they're saying, hey, when he gets in there and it's inside the 10, we better get up there and stop Leroy Horde because he is a tough running back to tackle.
Now he's the tailback, the lone back.
This looks good right here and right here.
That's Chris Carter inside, Moss outside. Cunningham says looking in that direction, but there's a flag on the play.
Yeah, that's where he was going to go.
Yep.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 73. Cowboys, it's still third down.
Todd Stussy.
When we talked to Randall Cunningham yesterday, that was the guy that he was worried about with the noise. He said the toughest thing in a noisy stadium when you're playing on the road is your left tackle here in the count. So he said he told Stussy that he is going to try and get in a rhythm for him so that he doesn't have these problems.
Horde is the lone back. And the handoff is to Leroy Horde, who's back about to the 8-yard line. And the Falcons wrap him up there.
That wasn't very aggressive play calling down there by the Minnesota Vikings. You would think, you know, they have a different coordinator now and Ray Sherman, and you would think that they would, you know, at least when you have a guy like Randy Moss and you have a Chris Carter, you'd think that they would at least take one shot, you know, in the end zone, one shot with the pass. I was surprised when they didn't do it on second down. I think, well, they will do it on third, and they really didn't do it on either.
This is Gary Anderson. And the field goal is blocked by Dronette. And the Falcons come away. And the Vikings come away empty.
Benny Green is thinking, what the heck is it with this team? The Atlanta Falcons and Gary Anderson. Gary Anderson didn't miss one all year last year until the championship game against the Falcons. And he comes here, and this is going to be his first try of the year. He comes here, and he gets the push right up the middle.
Yep.
You see the block right there? That's the thing that you try and do. You try, see, Shane Burnett
gets it right there.
And he just jumps over, then he gets right in front of Gary Anderson, and there's nothing that Gary Anderson can do about that.
That one wasn't his fault.
No, that's about the guard not stepping down. You can't let a defensive player split you. Split the guard in the center or the guard in the tackle.
Nothing. And Chandler's going deep. Complete to Callaway.
You know, has to be the most relieved guy right now is Jamal Anderson after missing that block. Here's Chris Callaway. Remember the old giant receiver. He's a receiver that has taken Tony Martin's place. More of a possession receiver, not a speed guy like Tony Martin.
More like Terrence Mathis.
And he hasn't really played much in preseason. He played in the last preseason game, but in most of training camp, he's had a high ankle sprain.
They got the first down, nevertheless. 1st and 10. Anderson. This week on Fox Saturday Baseball, two of baseball's top teams clash as Bernie Williams and the Yankees, who've been struggling lately, battle the AL Central champs, the Indians, in a possible ALCS preview. It all starts at 12:30 Eastern and Pacific. Check your local listings for the game and time in your area on Fox.
See the guy that made that last tackle, Pat? Again, it was Robert Griffith. He was right up there, just like he was in the championship game, and Jamal Anderson had a tough time getting started against him. Then he's having a tough time today.
Byron Hansbard has replaced Anderson. He gets the carry. Coming off a knee injury. Seems to be okay, but Ed McDaniel stopped him.
Yeah, that's a good set of linebackers. That Ed McDaniel and Dwayne Rudd, they are in on a heck of a lot of tackles.
That's the end of the first quarter with the score: the Vikings nothing, the Falcons nothing. Fox NFL Sunday from the Georgia Dome will continue after these messages. Dome, Pat Summerall with John Madden. That's a little bit surprising that nobody got on the scoreboard in the first quarter between these two teams.
Yeah, well, the Vikings really had a chance when they got that turnover down there, and I don't think their play calling was very aggressive. And of course, they had the field goal block. Atlanta played good defense too.
3rd and 7. Tried the hard count again. Incomplete. Flag on the play. Jimmy Hitchcock knocked the ball down.
Hitchcock got a good read on that one. When you can jump in front of something like that, you got a good read on it.
But this is against the Vikings.
Number 34 defense. Illegal use of hands to the face. 5 yards. Automatic first down.
Ramos McDonald.
Yeah, that was on the other side. That wasn't Jimmy Hitchcock.
Right.
See, now watch Jimmy Hitchcock here. He's gonna get a jump right there. You see, he was playing a zone, and then he was reading and looking back at the quarterback. Here's who they called it on. Here's Ramos McDonald. You see, they called it right there.
Yep.
He just came right up and hit Chris Callaway right in the face mask. So it was away. It wasn't the play where the ball was thrown.
1st and 10 Atlanta at the 40. Chandler. Incomplete. He missed Chris Callaway. And he said, honestly, when we talked with him the other day, that he had trouble adjusting to the speed of Chris Callaway.
Yeah, and that he was really going to miss Tony Martin. And, Tony Martin, he thought, added so much to this team because he had speed, and it was either whether you worried about the speed and covered the speed, or just the fact that it was there. He thought it opened a lot of other things up, including the running game.
2nd and 10. Terrence Mathis hasn't caught a pass. He moves in motion this time. Anderson, not much, if any.
Yeah, if you're not big on defense, you better be quick, and that's what this Minnesota defense is. Both these defenses. But you see, Jamal Anderson starts the left, and there's like, boom, 10 white jerseys going right down the line.
Nobody quicker than John Randall.
I know, but the whole thing, just watch when he starts here, how quick all those white jerseys get there. Watch, I mean, the whole pile right there. There's a point of contact, and look right there. There's like 6 or 7 guys right there, and about 2 or 3 more coming.
Adam Schreiber has replaced Robbie Tobeck at center for the Falcons. He again tries the hard count, the long count. Chandler has Ronnie Harris. The ball's loose. Scramble. It looks to me like they're signaling in different directions.
Yeah, it looked like one official was going to say the other way, but this is Minnesota's ball. They're saying that Ronnie Harris fumbled it.
Orlando Thomas came up with it. That's Ronnie Harris' reception. He's got it, no question about that.
Orlando Thomas is the guy that makes the tackle and knocks the ball out and is also going to recover it. That's a heck of a play by Orlando Thomas. He's the free safety. He's just sitting back there in the middle. Now watch as he comes up here and he hits Harris right here. He's going to strip the ball with his right arm, and then he's going to jump on it.
And the Vikings get another turnover and the ball. Cunningham drops to throw. Has time going deep for Moss. juggle. The flag comes down at the last second. Moss.
And that's what they say, you know, that's what Brian Billick, the offensive coordinator last year, used to tell these two. You know, he said if you throw it up there, just chuck it out there deep, it's either going to just be knocked down, it's going to be a reception, or it's going to be pass interference. You know, and this guy in his career, Randy Moss, will probably get more pass interferences against him than anyone.
Pass interference, number 34 of the defense, automatic first
Against
down.
Ray Buchanan. There was a lot of pushing and shoving going on, both parties.
Well, you see, he has Buchanan beaten right here, but the ball is thrown short. You see, he has to wait for a while. He is so fast that's the thing. And Randall Cunningham has said, I can't out-throw this guy, and he proves it right here. I mean, he has the speed.
Has to wait.
Randy Moss is probably the fastest player in the NFL, and he had Buchanan beaten. And Randall Cunningham has a strong arm, but he couldn't get it out there in front of him.
It's 1st and goal at the 5. Cunningham drops. Incomplete, another flag.
And if that's pass interference, that will go put the ball on the 1-yard line. It'll be 1st down on the 1-yard line.
Pass intended for Chris Carter.
But on this series of downs, the Minnesota Vikings are much more aggressive.
Holding, number 56 of the defense. Half a distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
That's Keith Brooking.
And so it wasn't pass interference. If it happens before the ball's in the air, it's defensive holding, automatic first down, half the distance. If it were interference, it would have been on the 1-yard line. Now, you know that they're going to throw the ball to Chris Carter.
Yep.
Everyone knows that. So that's the way that he gets defended. Now, why they didn't call that pass interference, I have no idea.
Leroy Horde fights down to about the 1.5.
I think that play, they've kind of proven in this first half that when you get down in there, that Horde play isn't working now, and they ought to go to something else, some misdirection,
right.
some type of bootleg pass, one of those kinds of passes that are good here in the goal line.
Maybe they listened to Leroy Horde, who said, if you need 3, I'll get you 3. If you need 10, I'll get you 3. He's deep again. And Cunningham goes to Carter. Touchdown. That's a new move.
We said that earlier that, Chris Carter is one of the best of all time when you get down inside that 10-yard line. I mean, he's just so big and so strong that he's really hard to cover. And he can jump and use all those things. Now watch Randall Cunningham. He's coming back. He looks to his right. Then he comes right back to Chris Carter, and he just zips it in. I mean, Chris Carter got one step on Ray Buchanan, and that's all Randall Cunningham needed.
You said he's one of the best of all time. Is the extra point by Anderson's good? That's his 102nd career touchdown catch, and that's second all time to Jerry Rice. For 50 years, the stars have gathered on television's biggest night. This year, the Emmys come to Fox. Be there as television honors its finest, the Emmy Awards. Pre-show coverage begins tonight live at 7 Eastern on Fox. Tonight's event is also available in Spanish by utilizing the SAP button on your television. And don't forget that tonight on Fox.
We talk about how big a play that pass interference can be. If you look at that last drive of the Vikings, they had 58 yards on the drive, and 55 yards of it were in penalty. And of course that big one was that throw to Randy Moss, and that's what he gives you. I mean, in the stats it's not going to come out as a big play, but to me that was the 7 points. That's how the Minnesota Vikings got their 7 points.
I know it's hard, but how can you possibly leave just one man on Randy Moss?
You can't. And when the ball's in the air, even if you have 2 men on him, you're either going to have to interfere or he's going to catch it.
Tim Dwight out of the end zone again. Ball's loose. Still loose. Looks like the Vikings have it again. They've gotten 2 turnovers already.
The closest guy I saw to it was the kicker, Mitch Berger.
And there, he still got it.
Yep, he does. I mean, he knocked his socks off. Look at him. He went in there and his socks were up by his knees.
Well, he's got on different color shoes. Did he have different color shoes when he went into that pile?
Yeah. He had those shoes on, but the socks were up higher. He gets his socks knocked right down when he goes into it. Watch Tim Dwight, like they all say, he's very reckless. Sometimes he's too reckless. I mean, he went head over heels on that one, or heels over head. Now watch Berger. See his socks are up there? Look at that. He comes in. Now when he comes out of that pile, socks are halfway down.
That's the third Atlanta turnover. And the Vikings are in good shape again. They lead 7-0 already.
That's hustling, good hitting by the Minnesota Vikings.
Cunningham chased out of the pocket. Won't forget he can run. And Randall knocked out of bounds. There's a flag back at about the 17. A penalty marker down. Those of you who watched Dallas defeat Washington in overtime. What an opening day it has been. 41-35, the Cowboys over the Redskins. Penalty here.
This penalty we were talking about here is on Randy Moss right here. I'll tell you, that's not, he hasn't done much yet. There it is right there. You see he held right there. Oh,
Yep.
Against Bradford there. He started to hold him earlier and it didn't look too bad. And then when he got finished, he just
looked bad.
Ronnie Bradford.
It went from not looking
right
bad
to the ground. You can't do that.
Still first down. They're backed up to about the 27.
Here's Randy Moss right here. Ray Buchanan coming up on him.
They're showing blitz. Cunningham gets it to Chris Carter. Just gets rid of it.
See, that's the old thing in high school. We used to call that crisscross, where you have two receivers crossing. You're going to see Chris Carter coming across from this side. Randy Moss is coming across from the other side, and the ball is kind of thrown right between the crisscross.
Yeah.
Look at that. And then pros would just start it if one guy calls him. But when you get a guy coming from here, you see him cross right here. You see the old crisscross right there? That was kind of quick, but that was the crisscross.
2nd and 11. Cunningham's going to call a timeout. As the Atlanta defense wasn't where he thought it should be for the play they had called. A lot of things happening in a hurry all around the NFL on opening day. Right here it's 7-0 Minnesota.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl.
Minnesota 7, Atlanta nothing. We're in the second quarter. 11:31 left to play before halftime. Pat Summerall with John Madden. Minnesota at the Atlanta 22. 2nd and 11. Randall Cunningham, coming off a sensational year, has thrown the only touchdown pass to Chris Carter. He drops again. Has time. That's going to be out of bounds. That's Carter again. He dropped it anyway.
I saw the Minnesota Vikings in their last preseason game in New York, and I was talking to Chris Carter on the field before the game. And you can't realize what great condition he is. I mean, you just look at his arms and his shoulders and his hands and legs. I mean, he's been around a long time.
Yep.
You think that guys like that would start to wear down or get old or anything, but he has no signs. I mean, his body, if you grab like his arm feels like a piece of steel.
Hasn't missed a practice in 8 years in training camp.
Now that is something.
Yeah. Leroy Horde deep. Flag on the play. Jake Reed made the reception. They might have taken too long.
Yeah, well, that didn't make any sense. They should have taken longer.
Yeah.
I mean, delay of game on the offense.
Delay of game.
5 yards. It's still third
You're
down.
3rd and 11, and you throw for a 1-yard pass. That makes no sense at all.
Those of you who might have missed the first touchdown, the only touchdown in this game so far, it's Cunningham to Carter. Remember when he first came into the league, it was Chris Carter I'm talking about with Philadelphia. So was Randall Cunningham. but they said he can't play in this league. He just can't run. He can't jump.
Well, he had some other problems.
Yes,
too. I think he had some drug and alcohol problems that he had to straighten out, and he's totally changed his life around.
3rd and 16. Cunningham outside to Horde, and Horde does not get enough for the first. Gets inside the 20.
You talk about a block out there. Jake Reed laid one on. This is what, I mean, there are wide receivers that block, wide receivers that just get in the way. Here's a wide receiver that blocks. I mean, that's a decleater. I mean, he knocked poor old Ronnie Bradford.
That's one you'll remember.
Yeah, he's going to remember number 86.
Get his number, yeah.
That is what you call a decleater. You unloaded to get a decleater.
So Gary Anderson's back in. He tried once earlier. He hit it well, but it was blocked. And this time he gets it up, and it's good. And the Vikings extend their lead as Anderson hits from 36 yards out. It's 10-0.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Oldsmobile and your local Oldsmobile dealers. By PSI Net, the internet starts here. By Nike. And by the brewmasters at Budweiser, who remind you that fresh beer tastes better.
Huge stone mountain outside of Atlanta, all granite. Stonewall Jackson, Robert E. Lee.
And that train, did you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the old midnight train to Georgia.
The old time. Here comes Tim Dwight. And again, he's hammered. Down at about the 16-yard line.
And great field position.
Harold Morrow was the first Viking down. It's 10-0.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Visa, the preferred card of the NFL. Visa, it's everywhere NFL fans want to be. By Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper, this is the taste. By E-Trade, it's time for E-Trade. And by GMC, do one thing, do it well.
Back at the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, where the Vikings lead the Falcons 10-0 with 10:13 left to play in the first half. Chris Chandler has Jamal Anderson and Bob Christian behind him. Christian moves. Anderson, not much. Opening day, as we've said many times, there's nothing like it. Well, for Vinny Testaverde of the Jets, torn Achilles tendon out for the season. He'll remember it. Cornerbacks Deion Sanders and Kevin Smith didn't play for Dallas, but Troy Aikman threw 5 touchdown passes, and the Cowboys won in overtime. Ricky Williams of New Orleans re-injured his left ankle. Brett Favre of the Packers, 4 touchdown passes.
He's the best.
Not too many arguments about that. Second down. Chandler drops. Here comes the blitz. Chandler gets it out to Christian. And Christian broke 1 tackle. Right now for an update, let's return to James Brown in Los Angeles.
Pat and John, take a look at Dallas in overtime. 3rd and 2, showing run. The corners make that, the safeties bite. Rocket Ismail blows by the defense. Troy Aikman with his first ever 5 touchdown game, and Dallas comes back to win it. Back to Pat and John.
That's some game. The Redskins and the Cowboys. Dallas was down 35-14.
It looked on that play, he said the safeties bit. It looked like everyone bit on that play. Looked like they had about 11 biters.
1st and 10 for the Falcons here. Chandler. Incomplete. Looking in the direction of San Diego, but nothing there.
You know, watch John Randall. He's always going to be doubled. You get a guard blocking him, then they're going to keep a back right there. Jamal Anderson is going to be there to help. You see Bob Hallen starts on him. He's driving him, grabbing him around the neck, and boom, right there. Here comes Jamal Anderson, and he just drives him. That's one thing. Now you say, well, they kept John Randall out of there, but you also kept Jamal Anderson in the backfield and took 2 of your players.
2nd and 10. Chandler dropped by Santiago. Big tight end, 6'7" he is. Who's also can really run.
Yeah, and he has a tough time keeping his balance in a golf cart. They were in training camp. He missed a big part of training camp. You know, it used to be all the players used to walk, and then they started riding bicycles. Well, now they all have golf carts in training camp. What they did is they took the governors off him. Santiago was in a cart as a rider. Boom, they're going like 40 miles an hour. Whoop, hit a turn. He goes off the golf cart into a bench, and he was hurt for most of the preseason.
Chandler drops. Protection's good. Caught by Ronnie Harris, and that'll get a Falcon first down. Harris might be the fastest guy on the Falcon team.
Yeah, he and Tim Dwight, and what he does is, he kind of sneaks in a game. You see, they have Robert Griffith, who has to play the 3rd corner, and he's a strong safety, and he can't keep up with Harris. And Harris just runs right across, and Chandler hits him perfectly.
Terrence Mathis still hasn't caught a pass. First down Atlanta at the Minnesota 45.
See, that's where the Vikings get in trouble on defense. They really don't have a 3rd corner.
Outside. Terrence Mathis this time. Shook off one Viking tackler and got an Atlanta first down.
That was Ramus McDonald. He was there. He had the coverage. He missed the coverage, and then he missed the tackle. Chris Chandler on that throw hurt his hand. Remember, Brett Favre did it in preseason. Jake Plummer did it in preseason. Here's a play right here. See, it's just a little short pass. Now, that's okay. You can give up those things, but you can't miss the tackle. I mean, if a guy's going to catch something in front of you, that's okay if you're a corner and you're a little off. But then you have to come up and be a good tackler.
Whatever happened to Chandler's hand, he shook it off. It's first down Atlanta. And he's back to throw it. Going deep, incomplete, in the end zone for Mathis. Hitchcock was one of the Vikings back there. There's a flag on the play.
Personal foul, roughing the passer.
Roughing the passer.
That's Tony Williams. You know, I think the play before, here's Tony Williams right here. I think the play before, they thought Chandler was hurt. Here he gets rid of the ball. Now they're going after him because they want to knock him down. And Tony Williams did knock him down, but it was a little late. The ball had already left.
That's a tough call, because his body was already in motion.
Yeah, and it's the type of thing, and he was coming on a stunt. He started to tackle. He went around the end, and he was coming, and he sees him there, and he zeroes in to go get him. But if you get rid of the ball and you get hit after that, then that's roughing.
At the 16. Atlanta first and 10. 7.5 minutes left to go before the half. Chandler to Anderson. Jamal nowhere to go. Lost yardage.
Hey, whatever the run keys of the Minnesota Vikings are today, their defensive coordinator, Foge Fazio, has them down perfectly. Because whenever they run, about 6 or 7 Vikings, there's Foge right there, about 6 or 7 Vikings get there to the line of scrimmage about the same time Jamal Anderson does. Watch, there's going to be a sweep here to the right. Now watch as they pull the guards, and watch a pursuit here, and how many white jerseys are around the ball. Now that's what you call pursuit and gang tackling.
That's what you want. One of the Vikings down. You know, Dan Reeves was saying too that Jamal, who held out and was late getting to camp, wasn't quite ready for football action yet. He was in good shape, but not running shape. 10-0 Atlanta, Minnesota. Next week on Fox NFL Sunday, Brett Favre and the Green Bay Packers clash with their NFC Central rivals, the Lions, or Ricky Williams, if he's healthy, and the Saints battle Steve Young and the 49ers, plus other regional action. All starts at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, here on Fox. Ricky Williams, for those of you who might not know, missed most of the action in the New Orleans victory. He had a bad ankle going in, and he aggravated whatever was wrong with it. 10-0 Minnesota, but Atlanta on the move. Chandler deep. Hit just as he let it go, and it's falls incomplete as Chandler went down.
That was Dwayne Clemens hit him on that one. Dwayne Clemens came from the right side. You know, they sometimes lining up next to John Randall is pretty good too. You're going to see Clemens is going to come here, and he just takes it inside on Bob Whitfield. Then he runs right by the guard, Bob Hallen, too. So that was kind of, I think they were trying to slide that way, and both of them missed in the slide, and they let Clemens get right in on Chandler.
3rd and 12. Chandler drops. Protection's okay. The ball popped loose from Christian and falls harmlessly. And Atlanta, without doubt, will try a field goal.
You know, the last 5 times that Jamal Anderson carried the ball, he's gained no yards. So on 5 carries, he has none. And the Falcons are going to have to make some adjustment, either an adjustment to their run block and to get him some running, or whatever Minnesota's doing on defense here, Reed, they have to get some fake run and some passes to take that pressure off Jamal Anderson now.
Morton Anderson from 35 yards out. And misses from 35 yards out. A rarity for him. And it's still 10-0 Minnesota. So the Vikings have taken advantage of 3 Atlanta turnovers. Stalin Colonnet of the Vikings has an injured right big toe. We don't know if he's coming back or not. There's Dan Reeves talking with his quarterback, Chris Chandler. Anytime the Vikings take over, leading 10-0. Cunningham.
You know, one of the things Randall Cunningham was saying last night that you can kind of see now is that, as he said, when he looked at the film of the championship game a year ago, he said they were doing a lot of things for Randy Moss. They were giving him all the coverage, and he said he kept looking at Randy all the time, and he said he missed some other things. He said they really gave him some other things that he didn't see in that game, but he feels he can take advantage of today. That completion to Crumpler, 2nd and 6. And the handoff to Robert Smith.
Out to across the 30-yard line. Keith Brooking made the stop.
You look at this Randy Moss. In the last 65.5 minutes versus Atlanta, he's only had 2 catches for 13 yards. Of course, he had that pass interference.
Don't forget
I think
about
you
that.
have to count in there. And he's still the threat, but somehow I think when you have a threat like that and a player like that, you have to keep him involved. You have to keep him in the game and get the ball to him.
Leroy Horde is the deep back. They need 4 for first down.
Chris Carter was in the backfield.
He goes in motion. Jake Reed gets the completion from Cunningham, and that'll be enough for a Minnesota first down. 4:50 left to play in the first half. Minnesota leading 10-0.
Yeah, that's an advantage of having a Chris Carter that is a smart player and a great player. And you know, kind of like the 49ers have done in the last 6 or 7 years with Jerry Rice. You can move him around, and you can put him in the backfield as they did on that last play. You can put him at flanker and at split end and in the slot and bring him across and do all those kinds of things with him.
1st and 10. Cunningham's going to throw. Through the hands of Randy Moss.
See, now that was a double. That is a, you know, when they roll to you, that is a pattern that you can run against a roll. It's a hook in between the short and the deep guy. Now here he is here. Now here's the short guy, and the deep guy's over here. Now he gets right in between them. Right in this hole between the short guy and the deep guy who's right there. And of course the ball just went right through him, and he has to catch that pass. But see that hole there? The short guy comes up, the deep guy's over there, they're rolling towards him, and you just find that hole. He found it. Randall Cunningham found it. Moss didn't make the catch.
Cunningham will try again. Outside to Smith, who's cut down. A nice open field tackle by Bradford.
Remember a year ago when we were talking to Robert Smith, and he said that every injury, he was always getting hurt, and he said that every injury that he had was up against the sideline. So he said when he gets up against the sideline, he's just going to go out of bounds, and then he's going to make his moves and staying on the field. And remember in the championship game, he did run out of bounds one time, and he said if he had anything that he could change or anything that he could do over, it would be not running out of bounds.
Third down, about 11. Here comes Atlanta blitz. Cunningham chased and gets rid of it to Horde. And Leroy Horde stays on his feet and scrambles for a Minnesota first down. Great effort by Cunningham and Horde.
That was a heck of a play because Marty Carter is going to come on a safety blitz. You're going to see him come straight up the middle, and he times that thing perfectly. And I think Randall Cunningham sees or feels that. And see, when he sees number 25 Carter come there, he starts to get out to his right. Leroy Horde is there as an outlet runner, and then when he gets in the open field, I'll tell you, he's one of the toughest guys in football to tackle.
And he got the first down. The Vikings move into Atlanta territory outside of Chris Carter. Stiff arm, and Carter will get another Minnesota first down.
Yeah, you just look at Chris Carter and you can just see that strength that I was talking about. I mean, these guys he's going to catch the ball. I mean, he has great hands and moves. And this is just a simple little pattern. He just stands right on the line there and says, okay, now Ray Buchanan come up and tackle me. And Ray Buchanan can't come up and tackle him. Luckily, they get him out of bounds. Watch this stiff arm, the old stiff arm. Right there.
Just sort of swatted him away.
Get out of my way.
Yeah. First down, Minnesota. At the Atlanta 30. Robert Smith to the 25. Stopped by Brooking.
They have a rookie, Jim Kleinsasser, who they have in there as like an H-back now. He's the third tight end, and he was the guy that lead blocked on that play. And they started him in, then he was in the backfield, and then he came across, and they've never really had an H-back before.
And we get the 2-minute warning. With the Vikings driving for more, already leading Atlanta 10-0. 2 minutes left first half. Two minutes left to play at the Georgia Dome. Minnesota leading Atlanta 10-0. Randall Cunningham.
One of the things they wanted to do was pressure Cunningham and pressure defenses, any kind of blitz. You can see they've done it 6 times. Randall Cunningham has been successful 4 out of 5, and one time he ran when he was blitzed and rushed out of the pocket. So he's been successful against him. 2nd and 5.
Cunningham going deep for Moss. Flag on the play.
This is the one that'll be pass interference in the end zone. The ball will be first down on the 1-yard line. At some point they're going to have to give Randy Moss, they're going to have to give him those yardage in their statistics.
Number 25 of the defense in the end zone.
Gets Marty Carter.
1st and goal from the 1.
Collision coming.
Again, you can see that they don't watch the ball. And that was something Ray Buchanan was talking about. He said everyone is so concerned with Randy Moss that they don't watch the ball. They just look at him, and you can see Marty Carter does that. He didn't look at the ball at all. He just ran right into number 84. Somewhere you have to give him those yards too, don't you?
Yeah. 1st and goal. Horde. He's in, I believe.
The old rookie Kleinsasser was in there again to lead, and he got knocked right in the backfield. But Horde is so good, at finding a crease, finding a hole, finding a soft spot, that you don't have to have a great lead block for him.
I kept waiting for a signal. I never did see one from Winnie.
You see, this is no block right here. I mean, he gets knocked right back, but Horde just keeps going and going and going.
Yep.
And you see there's no decision there. I mean, that was way across the goal line.
Anderson for the extra point. Good. 17-0. Minnesota leads. Pass interference and turnovers have been the keys to their margin. At the Georgia Dome, things have quieted down a bit. It's 17-0 Minnesota with 1:48 left in the first half. Berger to kick it off, and Tim Dwight is deep for Atlanta. Every kickoff that Berger has kicked so far has gone deep into the end zone. And Dwight has chosen to bring it out.
And he was worried about those new kicking balls, but they've had great coverage teams, these Vikings have today.
This one's about 5 yards deep in the end zone, and Dwight decides stay in there.
That was smart.
Yep. Maybe a couple of times before he should have done that. Back in the Georgia Dome, Minnesota 17, Atlanta nothing. 1:48 left before halftime. It's been the Vikings' ability to take advantage of Atlanta miscues that's led to their edge of 17-0. Now the Vikings have the ball. The Falcons have the ball at their own 20. Chris Chandler. Drops to throw. Now quickly caught by Callaway at the 40-yard line.
Now's the time to get those kind of things, because you can see that the Viking defense is playing them soft right here.
Yeah.
They're playing them off, and they've gone into that prevent mode. Now all Chandler has to do is hit about 2 more of those.
And get something in the board. Wide open this time is Ronnie Harris.
There's one more of those.
Yeah.
Now he hits one more, and they're in field goal range. And when you get in field goal range, then you can go for the touchdown before you kick a field goal.
They have 2 timeouts left. The clock stopped now after Harris got out of bounds.
Yeah, Ronnie Harris always seems to get open around that sideline. You notice that he always starts inside and then ends up and always seems to be wide open on the sideline.
Remember in the championship game?
Yeah,
couple of big catches.
Right, he would just come out of nowhere because the Vikings, as I said, don't have a third corner, and this 3 wide receiver formation can give them some problems. Has given him, will give him some problems.
Probably see it in the second half. Chandler. Pass complete to Callaway.
I know in Minnesota they're saying, what the heck are they doing with this prevent? The only thing it's doing is preventing nothing. And they always do it. I wonder the same thing sometimes, because you could see on this drive the Minnesota Viking defense really did start off too soft.
Too quickly.
They've been playing hard the whole first half.
Less than a minute now. And Chandler.
He just threw that one away.
Out of the end zone. Well out of the end zone.
He was looking over in the left for Terrence Mathis. He had nothing there, and then he ran out of time, so he didn't even want to throw it towards Mathis on the left side. He just decided to throw it right over the goalpost.
49 seconds left. 2 timeouts left for Atlanta. 2nd and 10.
And now they can take their shots to the end zone because they feel that they're in field goal range here.
Chandler 9 out of 17. Minnesota showing blitz. They blow the whistle and a flag on the play. Again, that hard count had something to do with that.
I think Minnesota has really played that hard count well today, though. They played it better than I thought. I predicted when I saw them practice it that they would do it at least 5 times. And if this is one, this will only be the 2nd time.
Prior to the offensive man lifting up, we've got defense, the nose tackle in the neutral zone. That's offsides defense, 5 yards.
Jerry Austin is the referee.
So what he was saying, the reason he said prior to the offensive man lifting up is an offensive man moved before the ball was snapped too, but it was caused by the defensive man, and that's a new rule in the last couple of years, the defensive man getting into the neutral zone.
49 seconds left to play in the first half. Minnesota 17-0, 2nd and 5. Again, they show blitz and back out. Pass is caught by Callaway. Touchdown. What a catch and what a throw. 23 yards away, and the Falcons get on the scoreboard.
And the Falcons have to believe that they're getting a little confidence right before the halftime going in here, and the Vikings are probably saying, why the heck did we get so soft? Because They just played off, and the Falcons just went boom, 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 right down the field.
Yep.
Now the Falcons are going to say, offensively, we have to get a little more aggressively and start going after some things.
Morton Anderson for the extra point. And he's good. And the margin is 10 for Minnesota. 17-7. The Falcons took it down the field in a hurry. Callaway, the touchdown. .43 seconds left in the first half at the Georgia Dome in Atlanta. 17-7, Minnesota leading the Falcons. John Randall.
They're probably saying, why in the heck were we so soft on that defense, where the Falcons just went right down the field. Chris Chandler is starting to know Chris Callaway pretty well now.
David Palmer gets up to make the stop. 17-7. Minnesota has 2 timeouts remaining. Coming up on the Visa halftime report, JB and Terry will have scores and highlights from around the league. And there are a lot of highlights on this opening day.
You see what John Randall's doing here? He's telling everyone to look. He wants everyone to see this. He said, look, all these guys are all blocking me. Why isn't someone else there? He's so proud of that when he got 5 guys on him. He said, look, they're all blocking me.
Now Atlanta's gone into that prevent. Incomplete, intended for Chris Carter.
You know, it makes a little more sense for Atlanta because there's only 32 seconds. I think that when Minnesota did it, there was too much time to play that soft, and Chris Chandler just went right down the field playing catch with Chris Callaway.
Chris Chandler is a lot bigger than you realize he is when you see him in person up close.
All those quarterbacks are lifting weights. Yeah. They're all getting so big.
This is Robert Smith. Shakes off one tackler. Steps out of bounds. Stops the clock. They save a timeout. 25 seconds left.
But they didn't gain any yardage. That was Chuck Smith that he shook off. Chuck Smith is playing at about, Dan Reeves was saying, probably playing at about 80%. But still, Chuck Smith at 80% is better than anyone else they have, and he just couldn't make that play right there on Robert Smith. But it still, that play didn't hurt the Falcon defense.
3rd and 6. Blitz coming on Cunningham. He gets rid of the ball. Picks up a first down. That's Andrew Glover.
You know, one thing the Falcons might adjust to is that they haven't had success with their blitz packages. Like every time they've blitzed Randall Cunningham and he's passed the ball, he's only been incomplete 1 time.
19 seconds left. 1 timeout left. Don't forget, coming up at the half, Visa halftime report, JB and Terry, and the highlights from around the league. And as many highlights as we've seen, not just in our game, but in scores that have come in from around the league. They may have to extend halftime.
Yeah, they're going to have some good scores and highlights. Yeah. The other thing, if you look, and I'm not sure how it goes today, but every opening day or the first 2 or 3 weeks of every season, there's always a lot of kicks blocked, and there's always a lot of kick returns and defensive, defenses scoring touchdowns. Those kind of highlights are big early in the season.
3-man rush. Cunningham steps up. Incomplete. Deflected. Travis Hall got his hand up.
Remember in the championship game just before the half, and again it was Chuck Smith. He came around the outside, knocked the ball out of Randall Cunningham's hand, and then Atlanta went in and scored just before the half, and they felt that was a turning point. There was that play, that situation that really won the game for them, because they said from that point on, they went on and played very well, and from that point on, the Vikings didn't play well. Look, they got a little bunch thing going out here. 3 wide receivers on this side.
13 seconds. If he throws it to the end zone with those 3 guys he's got out there, Randy Moss is going to win in leaping ability. No flags. Robert Tate. 4 seconds left.
But you know, he does have that cannon. He can. And then the thing you remember, the reason that this is a good one to end on is one of those just everyone go deep and throw it as far as you can, is you remember that even though time runs out, that the half and the game cannot end on a defensive penalty. So what you're throwing it up there for is hope you can catch it. It can't hurt you. But if there is an interference penalty, then even though time runs out, you still get another play.
Moss and Carter to the left. The handoff is to Smith.
That wasn't their thinking.
No. That'll take care of the first half, and that's the end of the first half with the score: Minnesota 17, Atlanta 7. Fox NFL Sunday will continue from the Georgia Dome after these messages.
The Visa Halftime Report is brought to you by Visa. It's everywhere NFL fans want to be.
And welcome to the Visa Halftime. Along with Terry Bradshaw, I'm James Brown. Let's get you caught up on the NFL scoreboard in Jacksonville. Rain, pretty much the story there. Low scoring affair. Jaguars on top by a field goal. In Atlanta, 3 fumbles by the Falcons, hurting their cause there. Jamal Anderson has not been a factor as well.
But he's pretty pumped up, wasn't he, when he came out? How about this guy, Randall Cunningham, 34 touchdown passes last year. This 2-yarder right off the bat to Chris Carter, 7-0 Viking, 17-7 after Chandler hits Chris Callaway with a 23-yarder. Got ourselves a ball game down in Atlanta.
Jim Fassel with the Giants taking on Tampa Bay.
Trent Dilford back to pass. Jeremy Lincoln pops and Christian Peter scoops it up, Jamie, and just like you when you work out with me on Saturday morning, sprints 38 yards for a touchdown. Giants up by 7. Then back deep. Bert Emanuel down the left sideline. This 39-yard reception as he beats Jeremy Lincoln. Sets up a 1-yard touchdown pass by Dilford. 10-7. Buccaneers at home over the Giants.
In the first game after Barry, what gives? Charlie Batch.
I'll tell you what happens. We're in the year of the air. It's throw the football. Batch with 3 touchdown passes, 25-7 at the half.
Game of the day.
Stephen Davis over 100 yards rushing, 109 to be exact around the left end. It's 28-14. Now to tie the ball game, a quick post right down the middle. Michael Irvin, 2nd touchdown reception on the day. Only 1 touchdown receiving in all of 1998. And then 3rd and 2 in overtime. 8 went back. Safety's up. They bite on a 2 tight end. Set play action. They come up to support the run, and then by them goes the Rocket. Rocket Ishmael came over 249 yards in offense in the 4th quarter alone for the Cowboys. 1,000 in total offense by both teams on this day. 41-35. Cowboys in overtime.
Arizona comes back from a 21-0 deficit to win it on a Chris Jackie game-winning field goal as time expires. In New Orleans, Carolina's 3 turnovers. Steve Erline sacked 7 times as the Saints win it 19-10. Jets at the Meadowlands lose. My guy, Vinny Testaverde, ruptured Achilles tendon. Patriots win it on a game-winning field goal by Adam Vinatieri in that one. Indianapolis Colts look good. Edgerrin James over 100 yards. Manning looked impressive, as well as Harrison. Colts win it 31-14. Packers capitalize on errors by the Raiders down the stretch. Brett Favre, 14th 4th quarter comeback to win it over the Raiders. Shane Matthews, 25 of 38, 245 yards and 2 touchdowns as Dick Geron's Bears win in his debut. What a seesaw, high-scoring affair. Titans come out and eke it by 1 over the Bengals, 36-35, and Brian Billick loses in his head coaching debut. Kurt Warner looked good at quarterback for the Rams. They win at 27-10.
In 27 games that Jake Plummer started for the Arizona Cardinals, already he has 10 4th quarter comebacks for that football team. 10 out of 27. Don't forget, Elway had 47 in an entire career. Plummer is the real deal.
Working the internet. Some of you will go to local news. Others will come back for more highlights.
Visa is proud to celebrate the fans this season. Visa, it's everywhere NFL fans want to be.
Welcome back to the Visa Halftime. Along with Terry Bradshaw, I'm James Brown. Let's get you caught up starting at the Meadowlands.
Vinny Testaverde back, hands off to Curtis Martin. He fumbles. Testaverde goes after the fumble, stops, grabs his left Achilles heel. It's a ruptured Achilles tendon. He is out for the year. One of the keys last year was the injury season in which the Jets were virtually injury-free. Vinny Testaverde gone for the Jets for the rest of the year. Now, back, Drew Bledsoe floats one over the middle. There, linebacker Brian Cox of the Jets picks it up. He goes 27 yards, touchdown Jets 28-27, and with time running out, kicker Adam Vinatieri hits his 23-yard field goal for the win. New England 30, Jets 28. Back goes Doug Peterson, finds Luther Broughton, screen pass, 15-yard touchdown, 21-0 Philadelphia. Plummer back, over the middle. Rod Moore been gone all year. Into this game, 20-yard touchdown, 24-22 Philadelphia. And then with 4 seconds left on the clock, Chris Jackie hits his 31-yarder. It's Arizona 25-24.
In Nolans.
Ricky Williams, remember, coming into this game, not 100%, an injured left ankle, high left ankle sprain. Has to leave this game, comes back in, leaves again. But then Billy Joe Holman, back, Keith Poole, down the sideline, great catch, 67 yards later, Saints touchdown, point after, no good, Saints win 19-10. George Seifert loses his first game as head coach of Carolina. Brett Favre, Packers versus Raiders, hits that thumb, re-injured his right thumb, but does he give up? No sirree. Favre finds Tyrone Davis, but the catch is ruled incomplete. Packers challenge. The challenge is upheld. This led to a Favre to Bradford touchdown, 21-24. Oakland by 3, and then 82-yard drive, no timeouts. Favre to Jeff Thomason, 1-yard touchdown, 28-24. Packers over the Raiders. Woo!
Instant replay helped Green Bay there. I know you don't like it. Are you slightly changing your mind?
No.
I did not think so.
But it's good. It's good television.
Visa halftime will continue after this.
Halftime just about over at the Georgia Dome with Minnesota leading Atlanta 17-7. And John, but for the Atlanta miscues, I thought Minnesota was a little bit cautious, particularly early in their choice of plays.
Early offensively, and then late defensively.
Yeah.
I thought they got cautious or not aggressive. And I remember talking to the Atlanta players. They said they went in at halftime in a championship game, and they say, look, they've thrown everything. We played as bad as we could, and this is all they already had. I'll bet you that they're in there saying the same thing. We've had 3 fumbles, we've had pass interference, we've given them touchdowns, but we're only down by 10 points, and that can be a good thing. I mean, I think they can take that and say, hey, this isn't that bad because we've had everything go wrong, and we're just down by 10, and we can make that up.
Does that ever sound familiar? Think back to the championship game in Minnesota last year when Atlanta got that turnover just before the half and the touchdown just before the half. And you're right. I bet they're saying the same thing right now.
Look at this kickoff here. You got a group over here and a group over here, and the poor old kicker in the middle all by himself. This is a different look. Now, I would say that they got a bunch and a bunch, and they have to have some spread from this type of thing.
That's what happens when you miss a field goal. Nobody comes close to you.
You don't want anyone close to you either.
That's right.
Go!
Good kick. Chases David Palmer into the end zone, but he's going to bring it out. And he's going to bring it out in good shape. Morton Anderson was looking at him, but he got almost to midfield. Taken down just at the last second by Eli Williams.
Yeah. And if Elijah Williams doesn't catch him from behind, this is going to be a touchdown unless Morton Anderson makes the tackle. Let's Palmer come up here. Now he hits that hole. You see that hole right there? Then when he breaks through here, he has Morton Anderson, but number 21, Elijah Williams, catches him from behind.
I got a feeling we've seen the last of that unusual formation when they kick off.
I mean, just get a kicker and 10 wild men and go.
Yeah. Cunningham gives to Smith. And he gets a couple of 3 maybe. Halftime statistics. Let's quickly look. Points off turnovers. There's the difference right there.
Well, that's a big thing. I mean, that they had turnovers, then they got the points off turnovers, and then also the points off penalties, because remember those 2 pass interference penalties and Randy Moss, they both led to touchdown.
Right. 2nd and 6. Cunningham. Chris Carter stretched for the first, and I think with that stretch he might have gotten it.
That's that same pattern. I don't even think you'd call that a pattern. I mean, you just call it a stop and throw it out there. Chris Carter just stayed right on the line of scrimmage. Randall Cunningham just comes back 1, 2, 3, poof, and throws it out there. And with Chris Carter again, being so smart and so strong, and he knows where that first down marker is. He just gets right up the sideline, stretches out, and picks up that first.
Viking ball at the Atlanta 41. As far as I can throw it, chuck it. Incomplete. No flags this time, and he almost came down with the ball. Moss did.
And when they had double coverage, and that's the thing. When you get a guy with the talent of Randy Moss and an arm like Randall Cunningham, you're not afraid to throw it into double coverage. Now, this is as much double coverage as double coverage can get.
Yep.
I mean, that is the sandwich. I mean, Randy Moss is the meat in the sandwich, and Randall Cunningham still throws it to him, and it's not a bad play. I mean, I think his chance is as good as those other two guys, but you see, they kind of held him down. He wasn't able to get up and get the ball at his highest point.
2nd and 10. Here's Cunningham in the pocket. Juggled by Moss, and he came down with it, or did he? Atlanta might have come down with it. Now they're saying that he had it, he was juggling it, but he had it on the way down, and he was down.
Yeah, and when the official comes in and points to the ground and says he had it when it was down, this is not a reviewable play.
Right.
Because this is one of the things that he's coming in there, he's blowing his whistle, he's pointing to the ground, and he's saying that the play is over.
Don't forget that we have instant replay, but this is not a reviewable play, as John said.
It goes through his hands, then it comes back, then he's tackled, then it goes out again as he's putting the ball down.
Receiver caught the ball, came down on his back, and then reached to extend the ball, which was already dead, and that's when it came out. Therefore, we have a completed pass.
Yeah, and that thing, again, is one of those plays that is not reviewable.
Not a widely accepted announcement.
And it's not a widely accepted form of play by Randy Moss. When he should have left well enough alone right there.
Yeah.
Because sometimes as you do that, you know, that doesn't mean that official's always going to be there to blow that one dead. That's a second-year guy playing like a rookie.
3rd and short.
You can see by that yellow line how much they have to go. They have to get to the yellow line. They have to get over the yellow line.
But they don't see that yellow line. We do, and you do. Timeout, Minnesota. 17-7, the Vikings are up.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by the new larger Saturn L Series, the next big thing from Saturn.
Atlanta, Georgia.
What these homes have down here, these big homes, they have great porches.
Well, that's one of the things we're missing with the new homes, I think.
Here's the old empty backfield, Pat. Yep. 5 guys on the line of scrimmage.
3rd and short.
Could be a quarterback sneak.
Goes quarterback sneak, and I think he got it.
Well, you can see he's way over the yellow line, and he just had to go to the yellow line. But that's one of the things that the empty backfield does when you have a guy like Randall Cunningham. If you just look at the formation and you see that they have 5 guys. See, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys. No one in the backfield. Now, if they only have 4 guys in there, he's going to quarterback sneak. You see, so now there's only 4 guys in there, and he knows that they can get a double team, and he can get right in behind the double team.
On 1st down, he tries Robert Smith for very little. Chuck Smith.
You know, in the offseason, when we talk to all the coaches and you ask them about trends and, you know, what's going to be new or where is football going, and one of the things offensively that they all talk about is a lot more empty backfield, like that formation that we just saw.
On short yardage.
And short yardage on every down. I mean, I think a team like Denver and Mike Shanahan, they'll use it on 1st, 2nd, or 3rd down.
Leroy Horde behind Cunningham. But this is Smith. And he doesn't get much.
Hey, one thing when we were talking to Rich Brooks, he said that front 7 really has to handle the run because we need all the help we can get with the defensive backs against the pass.
And they've done a good job.
They've done a very good job. There's Rich Brooks right here, the defensive coordinator. Remember, he was the head coach of the St. Louis Rams, the University of Oregon. the assistant head coach here, when Dan Reeves had his bypass surgery a year ago. It was Rich Brooks who took over as the head coach of the team.
I like him.
Yeah, I do too.
Ford is the lone setback. It's 3rd and long as Cunningham drops the throw. Under pressure, Chase gets rid of it. Here comes the flag. Here comes the flag. He did throw it away.
Yeah, the closest guy to it was Todd Stussy, his left tackle. You know, Randall Cunningham has a strong hand, though, because that first move he made, he brought the ball all the way down. Then he started to scramble, and then he did throw it away. But watch, imagine when you take your arm. Now watch this first throw that he makes here. When he takes the arm right there and then be able to hold on to the ball, you have a strong hand.
Of the offense, more than 10 yards from the line of scrimmage. Therefore, it's at the spot. Also lost a down. 4th down.
So they lose it down, and they penalize him back to the spot. If it's more than 10 where he dumped it intentionally.
Yeah,
so
see now,
down.
You can't intentional ground. If you bring a line back from the tight end on either side, if you're in that box, you cannot intentional ground. Now, if you get outside of this, then you can intentionally ground the ball by getting it back to or over the line of scrimmage. So you look at Randall Cunningham on that play, and he was still in the pocket or between where the 2 tight ends would be.
Mitch Berger into punt. Strong leg. They almost got it. Tried to block it. Dwight signaled fair catch. Ball takes a bounce. Knocked back by the Vikings, but it's in the end zone. They'll bring it to the 20. So Atlanta takes over at their own 20, trailing by 10. Next week on Fox NFL Sunday, Brett Favre and the Green Bay Packers clash with their NFC Central rivals, the Detroit Lions. The Redskins against the Giants. And then the Saints against the 49ers, who might or might have not lost Ricky Williams. And the 49ers are still in a battle with Jacksonville. Mathis, the man in motion. Chandler gives to Anderson. Jamal gets up to about the 24. Let's go down to our sideline man, DJ Johnson.
Pat, John, I talked to both coaches at halftime. Denny Green was in a good mood, of course. He said his team played such great defense that he expects the Falcons to come out throwing in the second half. Now, on the other hand, Dan Reeves was a little bit cranky. He said this is not Christmas. His players can't play Santa Claus. They can't give away turnovers like that to a team like this. So maybe for his sake, in the second half, they can play the Grinch and steal it back.
All right, DJ. Defensive back himself in the NFL. Callaway goes in motion on 2nd down. Chandler to throw it. Screen pass called at the right time, but they react well to Jamal Anderson. And he doesn't get the first down.
Ramus McDonald made a heck of a play on that. He's the corner on this side. He started up, and then he went back, and then he read the screen and came up and made the tackle. You know, you always think of corners, you know, that they have to cover, and they have to cover the wide receivers, and they have to do those types of things. That time, that was a corner, Ramus McDonald, who made a heck of a tackle on, although it was a screen pass, really what would amount to a running play.
3rd and about 4.5. Passing down. Chandler. Pass caught. That's Terrence Mathis, and I think he's enough for a first down.
And
Chandler's down
Chandler
too.
really got hit on that one. Looks like his right shoulder, too.
That's not the place you want to get to.
It's going to be John Randall, number 93. He hits him, and I don't know if it was the hit or when he hit the ground, because quarterbacks will take, you see, they can't protect himself. He has to follow through, and John Randall hits him as he's following through, and sometimes they get it when they get hit, and sometimes they get it when they hit the ground.
He stuck his elbow out to ward off the throw. He's back to throw it again, though, and has a man open. That's Mathis. First down, Atlanta.
I think the thing is if you'd have to say that the Atlanta offense just kind of has to stay with the passing game now, because they haven't been doing anything with the running game, and the passing game seems to be coming pretty easy for them.
Yes, it does.
There's like, the Vikings are, a gap defense up front, and then they're basically a zone defense. So they have some soft spots in that zone because they're hitting the line so hard for the run.
And Chandler is finding those soft spots. 1st and 10. Another running play. This is Jamal Anderson, and again, there's nothing there for him.
So you see number 24 up there. I mean, he's been up there the whole time.
Yep. Jamal, they've been stopping and containing all day long.
Well, it's been aggressive up at the line of scrimmage. Then we talked about how they get a lot of people around the ball. We talked about number 24, Robert Griffith, who always seems to be there. We talk about pursuit, gang tackling, all those things that the Minnesota Viking defense has done superbly.
Byron Hansbard is deep. He's replaced Anderson. Mathis goes in motion. Hansbard takes the toss. Right now for an update, let's return to James Brown in Los Angeles.
Pat, take a look at R.W. McQuarters from his own 3 on the kickoff return. Hit by Alvis Whitted. The fumble is picked up by Jason Kraft. He returns it for the score. 2-point conversion is good, and it's Jacksonville over San Francisco by 14. Back to Pat and John.
It's Minnesota by a 10 over Atlanta at the Georgia Dome. Atlanta, 3rd and long. Chandler is going to take off, and he won't get the first. Cross midfield, and down he went. From behind by Martin Harrison.
Martin Harrison was the guy that the Minnesota Vikings cut about 2 weeks ago. And he was with his wife, Debbie. They were in Minnesota, and he said, let's stay 1 week, and if nothing happens, we'll go back to California. They stayed 1 week. Denny Green called him back and says, look, we need a pass rusher. So they brought him back, so Martin Harrison is their nickel pass rusher.
This is only the 2nd Atlanta punt of the day. Straczynski. Very effective in allowing few yards return. Hit by the Falcons. Eli Williams, number 21, made a remarkable play to get his hand on the ball and knock it backwards. 17-7, Minnesota. This week on Fox Saturday Baseball, 2 of baseball's top teams clash, the Yankees and the Indians. Boston creeping up on the Yankees. They only lead the Red Sox by 3.5 games now. The Indians are the AL Central champions. This could be an ALCS preview, but the Yankees got to concern themselves a little bit with the Red Sox now. That all starts at 12:30 Eastern and Pacific. Check your local listing. Right now it's 1st and 10 Vikings at their own 9-yard line. Cunningham throws it to the sideline. Nobody broke.
Yeah, just watching Travis Hall on that play. Yeah. Those guys end up in some funny positions. There's my old left tackle, talking about tackles and offensive linemen. That's Art Shell. He's the offensive line coach of the Atlanta Falcons. And
done a heck of a job.
Like Dan Reeves was saying, that was one of the things that he thought was a big part of their success a year ago. And they couldn't happen to a nicer guy. And Art Shell's a Hall of Fame player. And I'll tell you, he's a Hall of Fame guy.
Leroy Horde gets the carry. And the Falcons are up to the task. He gets to the 10 and knocked backward. Art Shell was a little bit bigger than that when he was playing.
Well, he can get a little swell on you. You know, that was the thing that we never weighed Art. And
never weighed him.
No, because he'd never weigh. And that was in the days when a guy weighed over 300. You wouldn't admit that they weighed over 300. So I used to tell him, okay, Art, is if you walk away and I'm behind you, and if I can't see daylight between your thighs, you got to lose weight. Because his thighs, when he would gain weight, would grow together. But he'd still be better than any other tackle anyway.
Cunningham drops, retreats. The pass is complete. Not enough for a first down. Chris Walsh made the reception. Cunningham just barely got it out of there.
Yeah, I think on defense before the half, the Vikings became conservative. I don't think they necessarily were on this drive because they don't want to give up anything here. I mean, they want safe stuff, and they just want to. This is what Randall Cunningham sees, and he sees someone coming right down his throat, and he better get rid of the ball.
Lester Archambault is breathing down his throat.
But I think the thing is there they just didn't want to have a turnover in that area.
Berger and Tim Dwight will have a chance with this one. Berger gets it out of there. Line shot. Signals fair catch and made it. At the 40-yard line, 39 make it, where Atlanta takes over with 3:36 left in the third quarter. 17-7 Vikings.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl. By Coors Light, frost brewed to tap the clean taste of the Rockies. By Ameritrade, the way to trade, period. And by Gatorade Thirst Quencher, helping you play longer and stronger when it counts the most. Gatorade, is it in you?
Minnesota 17, Atlanta 7.
The tough thing with those things was loading those things. All the guys that load those things, after they loaded them, they couldn't hear anymore.
Chandler. Incomplete. Intended for Mathis. He was under pressure. He faked first to Anderson. John Randall was close to him.
Well, you know, Jamal Anderson only has 35 yards and 11 carries. So I think right now, John Randall and those guys are just ignoring the fake of the run because they figure we got this run stop. Let's just rush the passer now. And what they say about John Randall is anytime he sees a lineman stand up in pass protection, he's gone. In fact, they call it a high hat. Anytime Johnny Randall sees a high hat, boom, he's gone for the quarterback.
And he's gone in a hurry. Nobody quicker than he is. Santiago on the move, stays in.
A high hat.
Pass is caught by Callaway in the crowd. First down. That's a good throw, but a great catch.
Yeah, they were talking about missing Tony Martin and everything, and they, you know, and maybe eventually as the year goes on they will. But Chris Callaway has really held his own today. I mean, he's come up with some big passes, some big catches, and
tough catch there.
Gotten open, and I mean, there's something just flew right out of him. I don't know what the heck that was.
First down, Atlanta at the Viking 44. Chandler. Anderson. That might be his best game of the day, or certainly one of them.
Yeah, well, he had one his second or third carry over here to the left side. He had one that was pretty good, but you know this front line is good, and then these linebackers, these two linebackers right there, McDaniel and Rudd, they make a lot of plays too. I mean, they can get off blocks and make tackles and do all those things. I mean, Ed McDaniel just made that one. You know, one thing is taking on a block, but you have to get off that block and still make the tackle. He's excellent at that.
Second and 4. Anderson again. He just barely got back to the line of scrimmage. Tony Williams there first that time.
This Minnesota defense has played so well, and the strength of their defense is up the middle. You know, and it starts right in here with John Randall and his strength, and then those two linebackers, and then the safety. And that's what Denny Green was saying. This is the strength of our defense right up the middle. John Randall and Ed McDaniel, the middle linebacker, and then the two safeties, Orlando Thomas and Robert Griffin. Randall and McDaniel and Griffin have played a big part of stopping the run.
Three receivers together on Chandler's right. Looking in that direction. Santiago gets wide open, had a first down, lost it, and got it back.
That was an interesting formation, you know, and we saw him do that in practice the other day. It was a bunch formation where they start off with 3 wide receivers. You see, here's the 3 right here. Santiago will eventually be the guy that comes open, but that's how they started, and that is a tough thing to cover. Then they have a little shift and a little motion. Now watch how they all get in a bunch. One goes left, one goes right, one stays in the middle. Santiago was the guy that stays in the middle, and he got the ball.
Kozlowski is in the backfield. That's he on the move. And this is a fake to Anderson. And Chandler lofts it back across the middle, incomplete. Santiago's there. Flag on the play.
Yeah, you have to have a lot of confidence in a strong arm to even throw that one. That's a bootleg right, throw across your body left.
Pass interference. Number 24 of the defense.
All against Robert Griffith.
Here's a bootleg, and you're going to see Chandler is going to fake to his left, then he's going to bootleg out to his right, and then throw back across the field to his left. Robert Griffith really had pretty good coverage. He was there, but again, he didn't look at the ball. He's not looking at the ball at all. He's just looking at Santiago, and he's putting a mug on him before the ball even gets there.
Ran right through him.
Can't put the mug on the man while the ball's in the air.
Anderson. Inside the 15, about the 13. Stopped by Dwayne Rudd.
Atlanta's starting to get some things going here now. And one thing, if they're going to run, they have to have a good lead, and they want to get in on this left side behind their left tackle, Bob Whitfield, who is their best offensive lineman. Now, that was a heck of a block by Bob Christian.
Oh, yeah, at the end.
The fullback has to have good eyes, too. He came in and could have blocked, saw a guy was down, decided not to go that way, and picked up the second guy.
And that's the end of the third quarter with the score: the Vikings 17, the Falcons 7. Fox NFL Sunday from the Georgia Dome will continue after a word from your local Fox station. Some pretty good lyrics there.
Go ahead.
Takes a rocking chair to rock. Takes a football to roll. Takes a team like the Falcons to satisfy your soul.
And it takes a porch to have a rocking chair.
Go Falcons. Probably won't be too popular in Minnesota.
Who was that old cowboy, Walt Garrison? When he retired, he was just going to get a rocking chair. In the first 3 years, he wasn't even going to rock.
Just going to sit there. Here's Chandler. Into the corner, incomplete. Terrence Mathis saying that he was interfered with.
The Falcons look like they're starting to get a little momentum here, and the Vikings are starting to look like they're getting a little run down, don't they? I mean, you can kind of feel things changing, but where the Falcons are starting to get a little upper hand here, and this defense this Viking defense that was very dominant looks to me like it's starting to tire a little.
If they can stop them with just a field goal here, I think they've accomplished something. Here's Chandler. Dumps it to Mathis, and Mathis is inside the 10 to about the 7, maybe the 6. First and goal.
Chandler did a good job of moving around and buying some time. When they talk about a quarterback being able to move, this is what being able to move means. You feel pressure, you take a step, you buy that much time, and in doing that, that's the difference between being sacked and a completion for a first down.
Yeah, Ed McDaniel covering Terrence Mathis.
Well, that's in that crossing thing. He came across, then he got into McDaniel's zone.
First and goal. Anderson is the deep back. Mathis in motion. Summerall. Boys, he hit it about the half-yard line.
And he got spun right around. And again, all the ball has to do is break the plane of the goal line. It looked like Jamal Anderson, although it's first down, they're going to get shots here, but it looked like Jamal Anderson had the ball going over the goal line, and then he got spun around and turned perpendicular, then backwards. Watch it right here. Robert Griffith hits him, and he just turned him right back around where he came from. There's a little family reaction there. That's Jamal's mother saying it was close to being good.
Nobody's supposed to do that. Second and goal. Christian. Touchdown. Atlanta creeps closer.
And Reeves looking at that thing, and that's when you throw a bone to the blocker. Yeah, Bob Christian is one of those guys that the Falcons really missed last year when he got injured. You know, and he's a real good blocker. In fact, one of the best in all of football. And then, you know, never carries the ball. So what they do is everyone's keying on Jamal Anderson down here, and then they run the counter play where he starts to the left and comes back to the right to Bob Christian.
Morton Anderson for the extra point. (17-14). Minnesota's lead is now 3.
Welcome back. Bob Christian, who just scored that touchdown, will be a Falcon here for a while. The Falcons signed 3 of their key players yesterday to extended contracts. Wide receiver Terrence Mathis, Bob Christian, of course, and defensive tackle Travis Hall, who signed a 7-year, $52 million contract. Back up to you guys. Thanks, Pat.
All right, DJ. Bob Christian, of course, who just scored the touchdown on a 1-yard run. Bouncing kick to David Palmer. Palmer takes his time now, breaks out of the pack, still on his feet, and taken down from behind finally as he gets to the 30. Gerald McBurrows made the stop. 17-14.
Fox NFL Sunday is brought to you by the new full-size Toyota Tundra. Have we gone too far, or have others not gone far enough? By Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper, this is the taste. By Nextel, how business gets done. And by SAP, one-step business over the internet.
(17-14) Minnesota over Atlanta. The crowd has come back to life at the Georgia Dome. Cunningham gives on a reverse to Moss. Moss chased down by Keith Brooking. And right now for an update, let's return to James Brown in Los Angeles.
Hey, Pat, New York's defense providing the offensive spark for the Giants as Trent Dilfer throws his pick right at Andre Weathers. The rookie out of Michigan takes it in for pay dirt. It was 14-10, but the Bucs with the field goal now within 1. Back to Pat Summerall and John Madden.
Live with the slant, you die with the slant.
Yep.
Coming off your own goal line.
A lot of exciting, close game. Here's Robert Smith. Close to a first down, but about a half-yard short. That yellow line, by the way, is not official.
Yeah, the thing is neither one of these teams have been able to run successfully, and
right.
I think it's been a big part of the other team's defense. I think Atlanta has played, and they've always been very good against the run. Minnesota is playing the run very well today, so the running is tough. Here's that empty backfield again. Last time they quarterback sneak, they won't quarterback sneak this one.
Cunningham drops. Flag on the play. A lot of pointing going on.
False start. Number 73. 5 yards. It's still first down.
Todd Stussy.
And that's the guy that Randall Cunningham was worried about, because we're talking about the left tackle here again, and he's the guy that has the toughest job of pass protection, and he also has the toughest job of hearing the quarterback.
That changed the complexion of this whole thing. 3rd and short.
Well, you know, since right there at the end of the first quarter, I mean the end of the first half, Minnesota started to lose momentum when they played that soft defense. And then to me, from that point on, they've just kind of continued.
Maybe I'm confused. 1st and 15. That's Robert Smith. I didn't think they got the first down, but they must have.
Yeah, they got the first down, and then when they went to that open formation, that was on first down. That's why I said they wouldn't be a quarterback sneak. They had spread it out, and I think because of the Atlanta defense, that's a pretty good thing to do. I think both of these teams, because they don't have a lot of defensive backs, they don't have a lot of corners, I think that multiple wide receivers are very effective when you want to throw the ball.
2nd and 11. Cunningham. Glover, the tight end, knocked backwards. swarmed on by Atlanta. Marty Carter was the first to arrive, and he'll hit you.
Yeah, we talk about Robert Griffith being a hitter and a strong safety. Here's another one. I mean, he's a first year here with the Atlanta Falcons, but he is a hitter. And Ray Buchanan says when he first came over, he said he thought he was just going to be one of those hard-headed hitting guys that really didn't know what was going on. He said, but the thing that surprised him about Marty Carter is how smart he is about football and how he knows the whole picture.
And how fast he picked up the Atlanta defensive scheme. Carter in motion. Cunningham outside, dropped by Chris Carter. That we won't say many times.
I'll tell you, Chris Carter is the type of guy, though. I think that he got that. I mean, he's the type of
I mean, he must have.
He's the type of guy that you know that on third down that's where they're going to be going. And you know, because we talk about once you get inside the red zone, he's good, but he's also good on third down.
You think he had it?
Yeah, he caught it, then he fumbled that when he was out of bounds. And he had control of the ball before he went out of bounds.
Nobody questioned it but me. And I don't count. Smith. Nowhere to go.
You know, like you say, the Atlanta Falcons defense is swarming now like the Minnesota Vikings defense was swarming.
Ed Jasper. They had a great training camp.
Probably been the biggest surprise of the Atlanta Falcon training camp was Ed Jasper. They really didn't know what the heck they had there, and then he lost some weight, you know, and got in shape and has a lot of strength and a lot of quickness. And is going to play a lot. In fact, there's a chance that he may beat out Shane Burnett.
2nd and 15. Incomplete, intended for the tight end. Flag on the play. That might have been a late hit.
But there's been two things that are
Illegal
killing.
contact. Number 52 of the defense. 5 yards. Automatic first down.
I'm just saying the two things that are really killing the Atlanta Falcons today is those penalties, pass interferences, and the 3 fumbles.
Yep.
Because other than that, I mean, their defense has really played pretty well.
And here's another illegal contact. This is called.
That is Craig Sauer. He's a backup linebacker who plays in nickel, and you see him just holding there. He was just, you have to hold up your guy. He has Glover, the tight end. He's trying to hold him up, but that doesn't mean that you physically hold him. That means that you just punch him, you try and keep him away, you don't let him go to the inside. Andrew Glover is coming off the line of scrimmage, and Sauer just grabs him.
You make him change his pattern, make him adjust. And Reeves. Dan looks good. All of his health problems appear to be behind him. Good frame of mind when we talk with him.
I don't know how you can stay in a good frame of mind and be in this business.
I don't either.
Woo.
Jake Reed, another big wide receiver from Minnesota.
I think that would have to be an automatic almost for the Minnesota Vikings. And anytime they see a corner off their receivers, they just throw them the ball out there, because they've done that 2 or 3 times to Chris Carter, and that time they did it to Jake Reed. See, if you have an end in this position and a corner in this position and this much depth, you can just let them just stand there and just throw them the ball.
2nd and 5. Knocked away, intended again for Jake Reed.
And Ray Buchanan did an excellent job on coverage there, Pat, because what they tried to do was they tried to fake a slant, bring a slant, come on in. You see, they're going to come in here and then take it back out. See, he goes to the slant, then he tries to take it back out, and Ray Buchanan read that thing perfectly, and he went for the interception angle rather than the tackle or knock it down angle.
That's a fine play. 3rd and 5. Leroy Horde behind Cunningham. Here comes the blitz. Pass caught by Glover. Fumble. Bounce bounces around. Atlanta's on it. They're saying he was down, and it's Minnesota's ball.
That was a good read and a good throw by Randall Cunningham before Andrew Glover fumbled that thing. But he has control now. That ball was going out as he was going down. But again, if the ball is ruled, if they say that the ball is ruled down by contact, or if they whistle it, Denny Green is telling him to get the next ball snapped because he doesn't want that one reviewed. And instead of getting the ball off, Randall Cunningham is taking a timeout. Now is the time that they can review it. The only thing is, if the official said that he blew the whistle before, then it won't be reviewable. I think they can take a look at this one.
I think they can too. Back at the Georgia Dome, 17-14, Minnesota over Atlanta. This is a Viking timeout. And they're down to one timeout.
And that play wasn't reviewed.
No. He's trying to challenge
it. He didn't get it, but he has all the way up until the ball snapped the next time. And he could have done it during the timeout.
This is a pitch back to Robert Smith from Cunningham. Nothing doing. Clock running, just over 7 minutes left.
It looked like he was trying to challenge that play, and then what they could have said is that they blew the whistle and the ball was dead before it came out, and that's non-reviewable. They could have told him that.
He was yelling, no question about it. Challenge that.
And on the other side, Denny Green was telling Randall Cunningham, get up there, get the ball snapped, because that takes it off.
2nd and 9. Outside of Moss. Down near the 10. About the 11-yard line by Henri Crockett.
See, and that was that same pattern there, Pat. Now, that time they were off Randy Moss. And I think that's an automatic because we saw him do it to Chris Carter, to Jake Reed. Now we see this, and he just stops and comes back. And you see that there's a 10-yard cushion when the ball's thrown. So they probably figure that they're automatically going to pick up 5. If they miss a tackle, it could be 10.
3rd and 2.
And by the way, that play was non-reviewable because they blew the whistle. Empty backfield.
Empty backfield, yes. Cunningham drops, fires. Incomplete. Buchanan.
That was a big play by Ray Buchanan.
Was it ever?
He told DJ Johnson, our sideline reporter, before the game that he was going to get a couple interceptions. He said he's really going to gamble on one, and that was one right there where he was taking an interception angle. In fact, he gambled on a couple today, but Ray Buchanan is the real deal as a corner.
If Jake Reed weren't so big, and he didn't get tangled up with Jake Reed, he might have picked that one off. 30 yards.
And that's how the shorter guy can play the taller guy.
Anderson, no good. No good. What is it with Gary Anderson and the Falcons? 17-14, the score remains. Something about kicking against Atlanta. But this guy is one of the most accurate of all time. Here's the one he just missed.
If you look at it, it's on the right hash, so he has to bring it in a little. You have to hook it a little. He brings it in or hooks it too far.
This was last year in the championship game.
Now that time he was on the left hash mark, and you had to push it in a little, and he didn't push it in enough. So he pulled it too much today and pushed it too much in the championship game.
Because the other one he missed earlier was blocked. Atlanta takes over. Chandler. Incomplete. Santiago, the intended receiver. I think there's a miscommunication between the quarterback and the receiver.
Well, John Randall was giving the pressure right up the middle, and he was getting the pressure there, and then they had to double him, so he had to find a hole in there to side. Now watch Randall come in here, and you see that's the side Chandler's going to throw to. He needed a little help from Jamal Anderson to create the hole, but he has to find that hole to throw the ball to Santiago in.
2nd and 10. Flag on the play. Chandler up the middle. Got Santiago still on his feet. Santiago all the way to the 35-yard of Minnesota.
And they got him with that hard count, and the flag is going to be against the Minnesota Vikings. And of course the Falcons are going to decline it and take the ball here.
46-yard pickup.
Defense, offside, penalty is declined. First down.
Chris Chandler has really done a good job of that hard count because he's kept that Minnesota defense, especially on pass rush, just off enough to help his pass protection. And then when you can find a big tight end who is as strong as this guy, that's not a bad deal either. Now, you know you don't have great speed when you're out in front of a guy and you look back.
Yeah.
Whenever you look back behind you when you're running, that's a giveaway that you don't have great speed.
That 6'7" frame takes some time to get unwound.
That's right. He was unwinding everything as he was looking backward.
Chandler drops. Minnesota blitz, throwing deep. Out of bounds in the direction of Terrence Mathis.
I think the Falcons were trying to get one of those things that Randy Moss got. Mathis looked like he was looking for it, but that didn't work. In fact, I think Chandler was telling him that, we can, sometimes you run that go pattern, which is just a straight up, and then some of the quarterbacks will throw it short, and they call that a stop or a stop go or whatever.
Atlanta used to work on it a lot.
And I think Chandler was telling Mathis that that's what he wanted him to do.
2nd and 10. Chandler pointing straight ahead now to his left.
He has an empty backfield.
Chandler's off. First down and out of bounds. And nudged out pretty hard by Dwayne Rudd, but no flag.
That's the thing that empty backfield does. That it spreads the defense out so far that if the quarterback does run, there's no one around because you have 5 receivers. Now watch when Chandler breaks this line here. He really has 10 yards to run before he's going to meet a linebacker or a defensive back. And that all started because of that empty backfield. Quarterback can always laugh when he makes a first down and doesn't get hurt.
I'm not sure that was a laugh.
Well, you could see some mouthpiece.
Yeah. Gotta hurry. Jamal Anderson. And again, they contain him. He leans for a couple of yards, stopped by Wayne Clemens.
Danny Green has done such an outstanding job with this Minnesota Viking team. Last year going undefeated in preseason, 15-1 in regular season, losing to the Falcons in the championship game. And he's trying to not make this game a revenge type game, and he's right in that. I mean, it's one game. I mean, it's your first game, but it's one game. If you win it, you don't win the whole season. If you lose it, you don't lose the whole season.
Chandler out of the shotgun, fakes a forward handoff, throws up the middle, incomplete. Intended for the big tight end Santiago.
Santiago almost caught that thing too.
And it was high.
I think when he gets healthy and gets in the groove and in timing with Chandler, I think he's going to be pretty good. I mean, he's stretching out there as he's getting hit. And that was some collision right there. Whew.
Brings up a 3rd and 9. Morton Anderson loosening up over on the sideline in case he's called on.
This is here they have a little bunch over here, that 3-man bunch.
Santiago's the move man this time. Chandler drops to throw it. Took the sack. Dwayne Clemens. Again, he's hurt.
And he's grabbing that right hamstring.
That could be. Or maybe a cramp.
Yeah, that's what when it's one of your when it's any player, you see that. That's what you always hope, that it's just a cramp. And remember that just a play ago, he ran for the first down. And then you're going to see here, that he just gets spun around. Now I don't think it's a knee or anything.
No.
But you're going to look, he just grabs right away as he goes down. And I would think that something like that could have got stretched on that run. And then the heat, thing. And this is one of the things. In preseason, you don't want to play your guys, so you don't play them. And then in the regular season, you play them the whole game, and their bodies really aren't in great football shape.
The way he's coming off, that's more than a cramp.
Yeah, and the way he's shaking his head. But, sometimes you don't know.
There's his backup, Graziani.
Tony Graziani, who was just upgraded to his backup because Danny Cannell. Remember they got Danny Cannell from the Giants.
Right,
he was a backup, and this week they made Tony Graziani. He's a left-handed quarterback. They made him the backup. And as you say, the way Chris Chandler was limping right there at the end, Pat, and as I look down there now, that looks like more than a cramp.
Krasinski's the holder. Morton Anderson to try from 39 yards out. And he's no good. The Andersons have had some tough times today. That was his miss earlier. Dan Reeves' reaction to Morton Anderson's miss.
Well, Denny Green had that same reaction just about 5 minutes earlier.
Atlanta has all timeouts left. This is Robert Smith. That's in this championship game 6 months ago. Today, same kind of story. Not as many points, but the same pattern.
Well, in the championship game, it was that Randall Cunningham fumble at the end of the half, and in this game, I think it was that soft defense and that drive of Atlanta just before the half.
Here's Cunningham, and he's going to take off. And he bounces up past that yellow line. Again, that's not official. One of the Falcons down. Ed Jasper.
The guy we were just talking about that has really been a surprise on this team, and they say in a little while could be the starter. You're going to see he's number 95 right in the middle of the screen here. And he's going to be coming, and he gets hit by his own man. That happens a lot. A lot of these collisions are with the guy on the other team, and then quite a few of them are just with your own guy when you're doing that pursuing and gang tackling. And Minnesota's taking a timeout back.
And that's all of their timeouts.
And that thing when you can't play with a thing like that on your leg, so that looks like Chris Chandler. When the Falcons get the ball back, I'd be surprised if we see Chris Chandler.
Where has he got the ice?
Well, you got the ice on the right hamstring.
On the hamstring?
Yeah, it's up on the hamstring. That's what he did. He pulled the hamstring, I'm sure.
Yeah. Let's go down to the sideline. DJ Johnson.
Well, a moment of trepidation here on the sidelines. Chris Chandler went down. They're saying it's a hamstring sprain. So we'll see. Everybody on the sideline looks a little scared, a little timid, a little bit of anxiety on their faces. So we'll keep you up to date on what's going on with him. But for right now, just a hamstring. Back up to you, Pat and John.
Well, that's serious enough for right now.
Yeah, I think just a hamstring is big, because if it's a hamstring, he can't play. Now, if it were like we talked about earlier, it could be the possibility of a cramp. Then you can get a cramp out, rub a cramp out, stretch it out, and get back in there. But you can tell if it's a hamstring, and there's nothing they can do about it now except get ice on it and then get some pressure on it. But they're not trying to stretch it out or anything as you look down there.
2 minutes, 11 seconds left. Minnesota 3rd and short. Handoff is to the up back, who's Leroy Horde, and he gets the first down. 2-minute warning coming.
And a play like that, a guy like Leroy Horde is invaluable. That was a big, big play.
2 minutes left, and the Vikings up by 3. Coming up next here live on Fox, the 51st annual Primetime Emmy Awards. First down, Minnesota back at the Georgia Dome. And Cunningham gets to Smith. He'll string it out, but he gets about 5.
Yeah, that was a couple big plays there by the Vikings, because the thing that they need is to control the ball and get first downs, because the Vikings don't have any more first downs. I mean, any more timeouts.
Atlanta just took one. 17-14 Minnesota. Today's game is being produced by Bob Stenner, directed by Sandy Grossman. The associate director is Mike Roig. Broadcast associates Charles McDonald and Mark Matta. Technical director is Bob Mueller. Pre-game show is produced by Scott Ackerson, directed by Bob Levy. Senior producer Bill Brown. The executive producers of Fox Sports are Ed Gorin and David Hill. Second down.
Atlanta defense needs 2 big plays here.
Leroy Horde.
They didn't get it. There is something. That was, I said that third down play was a big play because the Minnesota Vikings didn't have any timeouts left. And now once the Falcons started to use their timeouts, they had to stop them on 2 downs. And watch this play. I mean, this is why Leroy Horde is so valuable to this team. They get a little push, and he just, if you're not in position and you don't wrap him and do some things, he is going to run right through tackles.
34-yard gain for Leroy Horde.
He always says,
the ball.
You know, that line, if you need 3 yards, I'll get you 3. If you need 12, I'll get you 3. Well, he got a big one then.
Here's Horde again. He gets about 3. Eugene Robinson up to make the stop.
That's why he's such a good change of pace, you know, for these Minnesota Vikings. The difference between Robert Smith and Leroy Horde is immense. I mean, they see different things. They run different holes. The plays are called the same, but the 2 running backs never hit the same hole.
Atlanta, 1 timeout remaining now. The Emmys next, coming up here on Fox.
You know, the thing that surprises me is Tony Graziani, number 7, would be the quarterback that goes in.
He hasn't even warmed up.
He doesn't look like he's getting ready or anything. Chris Chandler, their regular quarterback, he's sitting on the bench. He looks like he's out. So I'm not exactly sure what they're doing.
Danny Cannell at least has got a ball.
But he's the 3rd quarterback, and now Chandler tried to get up, and you could see it. Then he went back down. I would be surprised if there's any way that Chris Chandler could be the guy after Falcons get the ball back.
I would be too.
No, but I mean, I'm surprised Graziani's not doing something. I mean, getting some adrenaline pumping through that number 7.
Maybe he does. It's hidden.
You got to do something. I mean, you got to assume you're going to get the ball and you're going to need a score.
Atlanta has 1 more timeout left. A handoff to Smith. Down close to the 10. Still don't know the extent of. That's Steve DeBerg talking to Graziani. And he's not unhappy about this. Not happy about this situation. Unhappy, yes.
Yeah, because he's frustrated. I mean, you're down. You need the ball back. You don't have any timeouts left, and they can just play keep away. But what you have to do is you have to stop them here and make them go for a field goal or go for it on 4th down.
That should answer any questions about the possible return of Chris Chandler should Atlanta get the ball back.
Yeah, there's no way that he could play, so it has to be Graziani.
Yep.
Cannell is a 3rd quarterback, and Graziani's not doing anything to get ready, but it doesn't look like they assume that they're going to get the ball back.
No, it doesn't.
Huh, that's a strange looking sight to me.
Yeah.
I mean, now, you know, I mean, and they've been doing this, I mean, well before Horde made that long run at all those things. People ought to be saying defense or something.
Here's Horde. Stopped at the line of scrimmage.
See, now Minnesota has a decision here. I would think the thing is, with no timeout, Denny Green is probably going to go for it, you know, and then there will be a timeout, automatic timeout at the change of possession. See, if they go for it on 4th down and they don't make it, that'll be an automatic timeout. If they make it, of course, then they just run the clock out.
Well, you don't want to take a chance on a field goal attempt being blocked in this situation. And Atlanta picking it up and going the other way.
No, this is the play. I mean, the Minnesota Vikings are doing exactly what they have to do. They get a first down, it's over. If not, the Falcons going to play.
Well, Horde won't get the first down. Now we'll see if Graziani got some adrenaline going. Well, clock shows no time left.
I think there is some time left.
Play. There are 2 seconds
yeah,
left
right.
on the
It
clock.
has to be, yeah, because
2 seconds
4th down,
left on
you
the
don't
clock.
get it. It's time of automatic
ball,
change of
1st and 10.
possession.
They get a play. They'll get a play.
So one thing we know is Tony Graziani is going in. The second thing we know, he's not warmed up to do whatever he's going to do. Now, this is tough. I mean, you know, to go in and say, okay, you got 2 seconds. We're down by 3. Go in and win the game. And I mean, he can just fling it as far as he can, but and then the Falcons have to hope that when they do that, there's a defensive penalty, because again, like we said in the first half, the game cannot end on a defensive penalty.
Well, Graziani's in the game.
And you know he's not warm. I mean, he didn't throw one warm-up pass that I saw.
2 seconds. Left-handed. Moving pocket, throws it back across to Jamal Anderson. And Jamal stays on his feet. He's still going.
He can lateral it. He better lateral. Oh, he didn't lateral it.
Should have. So Minnesota 17, Atlanta 14. A sparkling opener in the minds of many. You're Minnesota fans, surely. We'll be back right here at the Georgia Dome.